All right, here we are recording for those of you who can't make it tonight. Thank you for watching the playback. We are talking tonight about doing your thing and doing what you want to do, because the number one thing that I love about this business is that it's yours. You get to be a business owner. And so the coolest thing to me is that what I choose to do and the way that my brain works and the way that I'm recruiting and leading my team doesn't have to be how you are doing with yours and leading your team. And so we are all gifted in different ways. We all have different strengths and weaknesses. And so it's only natural that it would look different. I think it's the coolest thing too to look at regionally how teams are different and how leaders are different within our company, even just based on the region of the states that they're from. And that's because regionally we behave differently, we think differently, or have different set of kind of common world values and how we see things. And so of course that's going to look different. Our age is going to play a little bit of a factor of how we run our business. And so tonight I just wanted to make sure that you guys, we have a ton of new ambassadors working their business, but also we've been through a season where our team as a whole, like my uplines and sidelines, we kind of tried something new over the last year and a half. A little history: when I first started my business, hey guys, thanks for hopping on. When I first started my business back in 2015, I actually started my own team page before I went gold, like, because I just thought it was fun and the coolest thing to do, and I was excited to do it, and was, kind of duplicating without knowing what the word duplicating meant. But that's kind of what we did back then. Stephanie had her own team page. Mary Catherine had her own team page. Some of my other ambassadors at that point, they were running their own team page. And so what we saw was people that kind of the norm was once you hit gold, you were kind of running and doing your own thing and just duplicating, of course, being a part of what other people were doing. But I love it. I loved it. And we also saw some problems with that in some certain areas. I loved it because it gave people this sense of, I am a leader. I can do this. I'm duplicating. I'm learning. It's kind of like hands-on training, right? For sure was not great at all of these things in the beginning, and I'm not great now. I'm continually learning, but it gave us a platform to say, hey, this is my business. If I don't really love how it looks here, I would do it differently. Here's a place for me to do that. We have some people on our team who are doing that now. Angie, I think you've got a team page kind of, and do you have prospects on there too? Or is it just team? Yeah, she's got a really cool kind of setup where she's got prospects and kind of teams that's more like informative kind of thing that she runs. Leslie has a team page that she runs. And so I love that even in this time of the last year and a half where it was like not normal for us to be duplicating that, there are some of us who innately enjoy that kind of leadership, and maybe it's the controlling sides of us, or just like that, this is how my brain works. This is how I think. I want to make sure I'm getting information across. So we all have these different things. So team pages are just one thing. I do think maybe gold is a little early for most people, just because for the most of us, we're still learning how things go. We're still trying to figure out who we are as a business and how we're reaching out to people, what we even love. And so I think corporate training is kind of saying, like, by the time you're Ruby or around that time, you need to start thinking that direction. Like, you are a solid leader. You've got a firm foundation of a team underneath you. Like, be thinking in that direction of having team calls and team trainings that are separate from like a larger team. And so we have not been doing that kind of duplication over the last year and a half. And so I wanted to just like open that door now and let you guys know you are a business owner. When I'm talking about, like, today on the team page, how we want to make sure we're involved and jumping on team calls and stuff, that's not in lieu of like you being able to do your thing. If you are a strong leader, you feel like you're at that place where you want to jump out and do that stuff. This is like what I'm doing is making sure that there are things available for people who are not wanting to do those things yet, right? So I want you to know first and foremost that you are a leader. If you have one person under you, if you have 10 people under you, if you feel like you want to kind of blaze this trail, know that you are supported and that is what this business is about. But also know that you don't have to do that until you're ready, and you don't have to do that ever. There are some jewels who still share team pages with their upline. I just did that for the last year and a half. So that is also fine too. That's what's beautiful about this business, is that it is as supportive or as blazing your own trails as you want it to be, that fits your life, that fits your people, and reading that and knowing that you are loved and supported and making that decision. So that's kind of the bones of the like pages side of things on Facebook, and also things like this, like a team call. I always want to make sure that I have things available for you guys to plug into as you know, my level ones, but also for your teams if there's not something else going on with your teams, or in addition to, if people like to jump on things. You guys, when I first joined, I was like literally jumping on 2 to 3 team calls every single week, because Tamara Holloway ran one every Sunday night, Jessica ran one, and then Abby had all of hers, and I soaked it up. That was my personality. So I never want there to not be things for people to jump on that want to. But I also know that, again, we're all busy, and I want you to have time to actually work your business. So I want to make sure that you're being trained, and that you know the things that are talked about in team calls and trainings and videos and things like that. But I also want you to have time to put them into practice. And so all of this is just kind of new frontier for most of you, because you have joined or started working your business in a time where we were in shared leadership and on a shared team page. And so not a lot of that duplication was really happening, or you just didn't know like that was a thing, because we weren't actively practicing that. And so I just want to open that door for us tonight and let you know what some options are out there for you, based on your personality, based on who your team is, who you're trying to reach, what things you enjoy. There are definitely some things that are kind of just no-brainers for all of us. If you're working this business, you're going to be reaching out to people, whether that's in cold messages, phone calls, talking to people one-on-one and connecting with them at work or at school or whatever. Like, you have to be talking to people. Following up with prospects is something that we're all going to be doing, sharing, whether that's on social media, any of those platforms. You're definitely going to want to do that some, even if you're not a social media guru. That is a great place to make sure and get the word out so people know what you're doing. But there are other ways of sharing as well, just word of mouth, which is what this business is about. Network marketing is a word of mouth company, but also taking care of your team. Those are kind of foundationally like non-negotiables. No matter what you decide and your team decides your business is going to look like now or in the future, these are things that we're all going to be doing. And so that's what we're seeing these common trainings and things about. But I wanted to talk tonight about some of the other stuff, some of the fun stuff that a few of you here or there have been practicing already or might love. And just, you may not see me doing all of these things, but that's because some of them might be outside of my personality and not the way I've worked my business this far. That doesn't mean that you don't do them or don't, that's not okay if that's your choice. So the first one that I want to talk about is online events. So recently we've been, doing more of like the huge team online events, or like, oh, this sideline or this upline is doing this big event, let's invite our people to it. But back in the day, and Stephanie and MC can remember, I can't remember, I don't know, I don't even think like Jesse and Josie, I don't even think y'all were like working in business, or Kim or any of you guys were on yet. We used to just do like an hour event, like our small team, or even Stephanie and MC got together and did one for like their teams just to invite people to, and it's just like a little hour-long event. Or people do launch parties, like, hey, I have a new person, we're gonna do them. I mean, you get invited to all of the books and Norwex and whatever makeup, launch parties. Hey, we're an MLM too. People do those things because they do work. So if that's something that's in your wheelhouse that you feel like would be fun for your team, explore that. There are trainings on that stuff on YouTube. We can find other teams who do those things, so you can like just pick someone's brain if you want to. But it doesn't have to be this huge extravagant thing where you're giving away a butt ton of Lululemon or $100 gifts. People like to win anything. So it can be a trial pack or a free product at the end or something. Like, the whole point is the information. We want to get people involved and have the information in front of them. So if ever we're not doing something as a team that you can plug into, know that you can do this with you, just your team, or maybe partner up with a sideline and say, hey, I was really wanting to try out doing something like this. Would you want to do this with me? Online events are great. You could do launch parties for new people, like we were just talking about. Those 1 hour info blasts, a lot of times it's like a 1 hour thing and it's like 25 posts or something, and you have them kind of scheduled even beforehand now in groups. You can schedule them all out, so it's super simple. But the whole key to that is like just super engaging stuff. And like things that we've done, like the 7-day trials or the 3-day blitzes, those kinds of things you can do on your own too. Yes, it's more fun when it's like a huge, huge group of people, but there's also something to be said about intimate settings where people are seen and they know they're going to be missed because there's only 20 people in the group, like whatever it is. I think that's something that we can start to harness, and I want you to know is valuable. Just because there's not 100 people involved in something doesn't mean that it's not like worthwhile and worth doing, because this is a relationship-centered business. And so those intimate settings and the one-on-ones where you're in someone's home, or like we're going to talk about tonight, are just really, really, they work. They're wonderful. So the first one was online events. The second thing is sip and sees. Raise your hand in here if you have done a sip and see, either at your house or someone else's house. Yes, we have a lot of strong leaders on our team who enjoy doing sip and sees. I know, Kim, you're awesome at them. Mary Catherine has always like really felt gifted in that area. She's so hospitable and like great at bringing people into her home. Like there are so many of us that were like, I just like to have people over. Or even when Mary Catherine's ambassador, she doesn't work the business anymore. She used to just have dinner parties and like have people over, and they would talk about plexus. And so there is for sure something to be said. And Jessie was just telling me one of her ambassadors is about to go gold this month, has just started doing sip and sees, and she's like, dude, I'm traveling with this. I'm doing sip and sees everywhere because they are working. Like they are just great. And it's just that conversation, having people in your home where they can ask questions and learn a little bit, but just see you face to face and know that you're a real person and have a real story. And it's going to help other people get started too. So again, you can kind of use those sip and sees as, a regular occurring thing or a special thing you're doing at your house, or maybe as a launch party for some of your new people that are close by or within a couple hours of you, to do a little sip and see launch party at their house to get their business going. Imagine doing those for people who are willing or wanted to, and helping them go silver in a weekend because of a sip and see. Like that's powerful. And then all of those people have caught the vision. They might be willing. I know Kim saw that. She's like, we did one sip and see, and now this lady wants to do a sip and see, and I have like 2 level 2s now that want to do sip and sees. It just catches on because it's fun. And those are the type of people that enjoy being around people that are going to be great at this type of business because it's a relationship business. So sip and sees. The third one is something that I have always had in my brain of like wanting to do, is kind of like a coffee and questions, which to me feels different than a sip and see, because you're not going to have the pink drink out in a tub for people to pass around necessarily. Y'all, I'm sorry, I keep messing with my hair. I let it air dry. I clearly need to redo my highlights. I feel like Cruella de Vil. Okay, sorry. Side note. So coffee and questions for me is more like, hey, I'm going to be at this coffee house this day. I've invited a few people that I know for sure are going to try and make it, but I'm opening it up to like everybody. Like I'm going to be sitting here. I make, a great income from home, or if you've been, wanting to change something about your health or whatever it is, like come hang out with me on Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. I'm going to be here at this coffee house, like chill with me, right? Ask me anything. I'm going to be there, whether it's about parenthood or anything. Jesse's laughing and you're wigging me out because Kim is too. What are you saying? You are freaking me out. Okay. Coffee and questions. You could also do this in your house, right? Like before I even started Plexus, or maybe it was in the very beginning, our church, like some moms at our church would do like Friday mornings, they would rotate people's houses to just invite moms who were stay-at-home moms over while their kids were in school, just for fellowship and that kind of a thing. So it doesn't have to be this extravagant thing where you have brochures or you have the pink drink on tap or anything like that. But anytime you're going to have people in your home, those conversations are going to be started. Obviously, your pink drink's on the counter, or they know you're doing it because you're posting on Facebook. But just that open opportunity to just have people next to you where it's a safe zone for them to ask you questions, and for you to get to know people, I think that is just so valuable. So you could use that kind of more as a one-on-one. Jesse's really good at this too. I'm always like super stretched and encouraged because she's like, oh, I'm meeting so-and-so for coffee on Friday, or I'm meeting so-and-so for this on Friday. I'm just like, I don't ever meet anybody for anything ever. I'm like, yeah, well, I'm in the messenger conversation with this many people. So that's stretching because these things are most out of my comfort zone. Like, I don't gravitate towards these things, but I just love seeing how different pockets of our team really is strong in that way, or that's how your heart works or your personality works. So Jesse's really good at one-on-one coffee, like going and meeting someone for coffee, whether it's a prospect or a teammate. And so coffee and questions, that's kind of what I have been calling that. Josie, I feel like so often she's like, oh God, what are you going to say? She is like the play date queen. She signs so many people up off of play dates. And that's such a great tool, especially for those of us with young preschool age kids. You know, my kids don't go to school, so I don't necessarily have that time of like, come relax at my house, kid-free time, you know. But you can bring your kids over and mess up my house, or vice versa. I'll bring my kid over and mess up your house. And Josie, I mean, you just get to like talk that whole time and connect and why you are a stay-at-home mom and all of these things. So play dates are great, whether it's at your house, their house, or at a park, or just going to the park and going where there are other moms and kids and just meeting people. Again, it's about connecting and it's about reaching out to people. So play dates are awesome. Joni is still on here. Yep, I see team charting. So there is also something that I never gravitate towards, but I actually enjoy when I go and do them with other teammates that have done them. And raise your hands if any of you have done a vendor event or a fair or like something at your school or anything like that. Yes, these are wonderful tools. I know some of you have ones that you're looking at doing in the future. Wonderful tools. Just again, it's like any other time in life, people are like, oh, I want to ask her about that, but she's, you know, she doesn't have her plexus hat on right now, so I don't know if it's okay, or, you know, but you're behind a table full of pink drink and you got your shirt on or whatever, like people are going to ask you questions. And so these vendor events are great. Definitely take a teammate. I would not say to go to some of these, especially bigger events by yourself. Smaller, more intimate events would be totally fine. But we've got some people on our team who are great at these. And so if you ever see one or are interested in doing one, I always tell people, you need to message Joni. You need to message Joni because Joni loves those and she does them so well. And she kind of just has this system, and kind of what we have figured out is like, basically a vendor event is a way to gain contacts, to gain information. Handing out business cards for us really does us no good. We're not that kind of a generation for the most part anymore, and it's not that kind of a business because most people's health and or extra money is on the back burner. We're not like, hey, I need to buy a house, so here I'm a real estate agent, call me tomorrow and I'll show you a house, right? They're like, well, I feel like losing 5 pounds, but I felt like that for the last 10 years, so probably never going to call you. But what we do at those is you have a way to gain people's information so you can, like we talk about, keep the ball in your court. So basically it's a way to expand your network with people who are semi-interested in what you have to offer because they're giving you their information. So a lot of times we'll do a giveaway or have like little, like we make little raffle tickets or like a little pad where they're leaving their information for a drawing or for a free membership or $20 off anyone who wants to, you know, ends up ordering something. I'm going to draw that out of the hat tonight. So make sure you leave your information. So make sure if you're going to do those, you're using those to gain information from people, to gain their information rather than just passing things out because you want to keep the ball in your court with follow-up. But those are super fun and it gets you practicing talking about plexus IRL in real life because so many of us struggle with that of like, I'm just used to typing it or posting and I don't know what to say. And I know even for Joni and I's first one, I just blabbed everything. And Joni, I was like, Joni, I'm so sorry. You're just like sitting in the chair. And she's like, well, you were saying everything. You were taking care of it. I was like, whoops. Probably you don't need to do that ever again. But you just begin to learn, what to say to people, or like, oh, now I know everything about the pink drink because I've repeated myself 50 times today. So it's a really great learning opportunity, confidence builder. And keynote, not only are you wanting to gain people's information, you are targeting, truthfully, and raise your hand if this is true for you at your vendor event, the people at tables next to you, truthfully. Like, those have been most of the times the people that end up signing up within a week or a month are the people that heard your spiel like 800 times because they're sitting next to you and they're like, okay, well, I hate selling jewelry now. I want to do that. Like, what are you doing? That sounds amazing. And so those conversations, even if no one stops by your table or no one wants to leave their information or no one calls you back, those connections not only could get you a partnership. I know when Joni first started, there was a girl, she was like, well, every time I go do a booth, let's just share a booth and I can set my jewelry up on one side and you can do your plex on the other side and we can share the cost. Like, you might make a friend and a networking thing that you can now have someone to do that with. So there's so much value to all of these things. Okay, so moving right along, the next one, oh, look, it's 9:25. We're doing so good. Look, I made notes, so we're doing good. Okay, the next one I want to talk about is blogs and Instagram. And this is for sure not for everybody. Like, I've been trying to dabble in Instagram and build that, and it is just its own animal, and it is time consuming. And the thing with both of these is you have to already have something or be building something that you are adding value to people's life. Or that you're just super, super consistent, because the algorithms on there, how to gain followers and people coming back to your blog or to Instagram, because they kind of work hand in hand. A lot of bloggers use Instagram to do their blog, but it's like you have to keep having content, right? And so for most of us, we're just struggling to get a Facebook post up most of the day. So we're not going to probably have time to spend hours each week or multiple times a week creating content for a blog that people are going to find value and build that in. Blogging and even Instagram, that is like a lot of intense work, but it's kind of building a long game. Some people can build that faster, but for a lot of people, it is kind of like that slow growth. And then all of a sudden, like, okay, awesome, I have this great following, and now I can, start seeing some of the fruits of that labor. So it is amazing when you are like gifted in that area, or you've got something of value that you have on your heart already to start about. I know Mary Catherine has just got her certificate to be a health coach, and she's going to be launching a blog. Super excited to see all of that. And what that's going to be doing, adding value to all of us, because she's going to have all this wealth of knowledge that she's sharing and all these fun stuff. But eventually it's going to help her plexus business as well, because she's going to gain that following and have that ear of people that are know, hey, she's about this. She's about natural health. I'm gaining a lot of value from this. Okay, maybe I'll try that too, that kind of a thing. But that is never in lieu of our normal reaching out and following up and connecting with people and posting, because it is that long stretch of a game. Laura Nutt, who we talked about with the 7Cs earlier, she also is one who, when she started her business, she was like, you know what? I just feel very strongly how I want my story told. She is telling her story on Thursday night. So be at Real People, Real Stories. Laura's story is one you do not want to miss. She struggled for 20 years, went to the Mayo Clinic, like all of this stuff with some crazy things. And plexus was the first thing that she really found healing in. And so she has this heart, because there is a community of people out there with chronic illness that are just trapped. And so she was like, the only way I feel comfortable about telling my story is doing it in this blog setting. And she had this game plan from day one. And it's been how many months, Jess? It's been a lot of months that she has put daily effort into this. Even her Instagram, she was methodical about it from day one. She posts every day. She does her stories every day. And you guys, she didn't start with a following at all, but she's gaining these followers, and the people that she wanted to reach are finding her because she's doing it well. And so again, that's kind of its own thing. And so if you're gifted in that area or passionate in that area, absolutely follow that passion and use that. And so, yeah, so that is all I have to say about blogging and Instagram. And so the other thing that I want to talk about is something that I, again, have been saying that I would like to do, and it just hasn't happened yet for me, and I want to change that in 2019. I said that in 2018 too. Hold me accountable, invite me to your house, is to do more large-scale opportunity events or trainings in areas. And you guys, you don't need a Jewel Ambassador to do those things. So while I want to do them and I want to be present and I want to come visit you and help you do stuff like that, there are other Plexus ambassadors in your area, even outside of our team, that we can get you connected with in order to have a Saturday training. And maybe only 3 of your teammates show up, but maybe then you get connected with a lot of other people, and that's that one Plexus spirit, right? And then it doesn't feel so lonely anymore, and then you can host more, and you kind of get this confidence thing going. So that's another thing. If you feel like, Kim, I feel like that's something Jody would really love, just her natural leadership and speaking abilities, like to be able to get in front of people. We can create those things for ourselves. So before we end, it's 9:29. How proud are you of this 25-minute phone call right now? Is that no matter what the last year and a half has looked like, no matter how, I hope you haven't felt trapped, but I know that it can feel that way of like, I'm just doing what has worked and what other people are doing. That's great. We want to take the things that are working, but we also want to take those things and then take internally and make them your own, because we each have a different skill set. We each have a different strength zone. And so what works for me may not work for you. The verbiage that works for me may not work for you. And so I have been really careful to just give and give and give and say, do this, do this, do this, do this. But at the same time, if I'm taking that away and not giving you this freedom and saying, fail, like go try something. And it's okay if it sucks the first time. It's okay if it's scary. But if you feel like something would work well for you, then do it. Ask me. I'm not great at half of these things because I don't do them. But I need to grow in those areas too, and I need to jump out of my comfort zone. But we have so many amazing people on our team who are gifted in those areas. And so connecting with other people on our team that are doing so. So I just really wanted to empower you tonight that this is your business. It doesn't have to look like mine. It doesn't have to look like Abby's. It doesn't have to look like anybody else's. But what it has to look like is a business. If you want it to grow and you want it to flourish, it's got to be yours. You've got to own it. You've got to be the one who's solely responsible for it. And that is another video for another time, is taking responsibility for the activity, the inactivity, the growth, and the non-growth, and not placing blame, but saying, hey, innately, I have everything I need for life and godliness. And if this is what God's put before me, I can do this. Let's figure out how and in which way works best for me and my team. So I love y'all so much. It's 9:30. I know a couple of you have another call to jump on. But share this with your teammates. I hope it's empowering, and I hope it gets your wheels turning of just ways that you can connect with your prospects and with your team and really just make this business your own. I love y'all. Good night.